Hey, I'm Patty from AldermanFarms, and this is my friend Leah.
Hi.
This is a different video than what I typically do, or what we do at AldermanFarms.
It's not about making bread.
It's not about bread. It's not about farm animals or anything else. This is about Leah being adopted. I actually have only known Leah for about a year now, I believe. Is that about right?
About a year, yeah.
And we were actually in a group text with, we go to church together. That's how we've met. And we're in a group text, and a girlfriend of ours in the text said that she just found her aunt that was adopted out of her family. And she was so excited. And Leah said...
Yeah, just not even thinking... I've never been ashamed of the fact that I'm adopted. My parents taught me it was something to be proud of, so anytime it's ever come up in conversation, I'm happy to talk about it. It was just like a sideways comment, not anything serious.
Right, and she just said, I wish I could find my birth mother.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I'd like to help you with that.
And then she goes out of town for 3 weeks.
No, not 3 weeks, but for a week. So we have been doing some research, and so that's when I got involved with this story, just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Last Wednesday night.
Yeah, we sat around a table. It's a lot of us ladies, and we're talking. We actually called Leah's adoptive mother, which I will refer to her as her mother,
yes,
and her adopted father as her father, because that's who raised her. That's her mom and dad.
Yeah, absolutely. In this process, I have assured my parents, and I want to constantly assure them that no matter what I find, they're my parents. That's my mom and dad. They changed my diapers. They fed me, clothed me. Loved me when I necessarily wasn't very lovable.
That's right.
But they are my parents, and finding my mother would just be a bonus in life. So
that's right. That's right. And so the journey began, and our pastor's wife, Christy, actually is from the area, Hattiesburg, where Leah's mother was in a girls' home called Bethesda.
It was a branch of Lester Roloff's home in Corpus. He had children's homes in Corpus Christi, Texas, and the Bethesda Home for Girls was located in Hattiesburg, Petal area. I believe they opened their doors in 1969, 1970, and then they housed unwed mothers,
girls, but all girls.
All girls. Now in Corpus Christi, they did have a boys' home as well, but the home that my mother was in was just for girls.
That's right. And so it's really neat that our pastor's wife, she's from that area, so she is going in a different direction than what I'm actually going in.
Yeah, and I'm going in a different direction than Patty's going in, but we're all hoping that we're going to end up
in the same place.
Yeah. And hope that's the goal.
Yeah. And Leah has done a DNA test with
Heritage.com.
Yeah. And
I did that 3 years ago.
Yeah, and there is some hits on there, but it's very distant, and so I have made contact with a few of those people. Some don't recognize any of the information that I have,
because we really don't have a lot of information. It was a closed adoption, and so the information that I have been given is the little information that my parents were given, and then as I've gotten older, I've found out some other things, but really it's not a lot.
Yeah. Well, we do know your birth date, and it's coming up.
Yes. Let's see, next Wednesday, I think. Next Wednesday's my birthday.
That's right.
July the 14th, 1975, I'll be 46 years old. So that is the one thing that we know is accurate.
And we do know she was at the Bethesda Home for Girls.
And I was born at the hospital in Laurel, Mississippi. I think it used to be Community, or is it Community? I think it was Community Regional back in 1975. Of course, they've evolved and they're a different name now. But I was born in Laurel, so I do know that to be true.
Yes. And so, we have that information. There's a lot of different sites out there. that Leah has been on. She's made some contacts with
have.
maybe a lot of nice ladies that
Yes,
they've given her a lot of information about the home and everything, but none of them are remembering her mom as
That's
of
right.
yet.
I did find one lady, mother, who was at the home. She had a baby on May the 11th of 1975. So she would have been there, and she worked in the kitchen. And she says, I know that I would have, seen your mother, but they really weren't allowed to conversate and talk very much. According to the 3 girls that I've women, they're women now.
Yeah.
That
We
I've
think of
spoken
them as
to.
girls
Yeah,
because this happened when they were
because
so much younger.
It's kind of frozen in time.
Yeah, yeah.
But they weren't allowed to conversate and talk about why they were there or their family, that kind of thing. So she's looking through some things that she's held on to for the years, but so far she didn't give me any helpful information other than telling me about what life was like there for her. And she has actually found her daughter and is going to visit her next week.
Oh, wow. Isn't that
So,
something?
yeah.
And that's the reason we're making this video is we want your help. We want you to share this video.
Please share.
Yes, and to get it out there that Leah is searching for her birth mother and that she would like to make contact. You can contact us through here on YouTube, or my email address is patty@aldermanfarms.net. And we would just appreciate any help. You just never know. Now, we want to talk about some of the information we might know. There's information that we have that we don't know if it's 100%. Right. Oh, and we were talking about the different directions, too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going off on the direction looking at her family tree that we found where she has some relatives. So I'm kind of looking at that area, kind of searching maybe for her birth grandfather. We have just what we think is facts, but we don't know 100%.
Right. Okay. So I just started searching Bethesda Home for Girls and came up with a lot of information, an overwhelming amount of information. And so in doing my search, I found that there used to be a Yahoo chat room that survivors and girls who had lived at Bethesda had organized. And when Facebook came in, they created a Facebook group it's called Bethesda Home Survivors. And they started talking to a lot of girls who had given up their babies. Probably closer, we know that there were at least 100 other babies that were given up for adoption. And so they opened up a Facebook page that is called Bethesda's Lost Loves. And I have made connection with those ladies, and I'm kind of going at it through the angle of getting those ladies and those women remembering something. I'm talking to several different people. I don't want to talk about all of that stuff, but I'm also working with a lady who is based out of Washington State, and she runs a nonprofit, and she is helping me kind of get some information and glean stuff, and is going to help where funds are needed. I'm going to have to get an attorney to open my birth records, and we're working with an attorney that's going to do pro bono, and also anything that he can't do pro bono. This nonprofit out of Washington D.C. is going to help. So
Washington State.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Washington State.
So that's just huge. And this lady she is talking to, she's familiar with this process. I like to watch the shows on TV and everything. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
But so
obviously I haven't either.
Yeah, and Leah hasn't either. And so, we're learning a lot. It would be easier to do this again to help someone else.
And once I do this, I will help anybody that is in this boat. So
yeah, and Leah and I were talking, and I'm such a curious natured person. I would want to know just to know. That's just how I am. But there are other reasons. I mean, Leah's had a few little health things that she would like to know.
Yeah.
Where that comes from. Is that hereditary? Leah does have 2 birth children, so it would be nice to know the family,
absolutely,
genetics
absolutely.
and everything.
So let's see. Here's what I do know to be fact. So I know that I was born July the 14th, 1975. Like I said, in Laurel. The home that my mom was in Hattiesburg, and so I am told that she came from Texas to Hattiesburg. Her dad was a pastor, and there were many children in their home, 6, maybe 7 children. And when she found out she was pregnant, her dad resigned his church, and they moved somewhere up in the top of the United States, maybe Ohio. I can never say that right.
Iowa.
So anyway,
Iowa.
After she had me, my parents bought her a ticket to return home, but they bought that ticket to Cincinnati, Ohio, and then she caught a connecting flight to somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So when my parents came to the hospital the day that I was born, and they were standing there in the hallway as she came out of the labor and delivery. They asked my parents to turn their heads the other direction. My dad, being curious, I guess,
like me,
turned around and looked and saw that she had long, reddish blonde colored hair. So we believe that she could be redheaded. So anyway, as my parents' responsibility with the adoption, as I'm told, was that they would pay for her hospital bills. So as they had dressed me and got me ready to go home, they were down in the billing department taking care of the bill, and a lady came in and made a reference to Dolores Adams that's giving her baby up, and that's her name. Dolores Adams is what we believe to be her name. That someone was there to pick her up, and she had given her baby up for adoption. And so, though it was my parents were supposed to know nothing of her name, they accidentally found out her name. So then that's really the end of what I know.
And the problem with this is that we have found out, or Leah has found out through talking with a lot of these ladies, a lot of them didn't go by their real name. So her name could be Dolores Adams, or that could be a made-up name.
Right.
We don't know that.
It was the name that she went by in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the ladies that I spoke to, the lady who was there, and I'm not going to say her name just for her own privacy, but she said that she does remember a redheaded girl that was at the home that was pregnant and due after she was, but she went by the name Cookie. And so it could be that was a nickname that was given to her. Don't know. I think that's kind of funny myself. It's an odd nickname. But she said her real name could have been Dolores. She didn't know, but they didn't really conversate, so she doesn't know.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of things we think we know, but we're not 100% on.
And a lot of things were not done for her own protection, to protect her. I mean, she was 14 years old.
Well, she had just turned 15 when you were born, right?
Right.
Yeah, so she was 14
She was somewhere
most of the time.
between 13 to when she got pregnant, maybe 14 when she had me. Those things were not, I mean, it's in that age bracket.
And honestly, we don't even know if Leah's birth mom knows that she gave birth to a girl.
This is true.
Because some of the ladies don't know whether they had a boy or a girl. They weren't allowed to know that.
One lady that I spoke with said that a nurse told her that she had a boy, and later in the day she asked about her baby boy, and the nurse said, "Oh, sweetheart, you didn't have a boy, you had a girl." And then she asked the doctor, and the doctor wouldn't give her any information. So, I mean, quite possibly she doesn't know what she had.
But we know it's Leah, and
I'm definitely a girl.
Yes, definitely a girl. And we want her birth mom to know that too. So we just really ask you to please, if you can, please share the video. If you have any information, please reach out to us. We would really, really love to hear from you. You can leave a comment on this video, or like I said, you can send me an email, Patty@AldermanFarms.net, PATTI@AldermanFarms.net.
So tomorrow, I am going to an attorney. Did I say that already?
Well, you did mention that we were
So
talking
tomorrow, I am going to an attorney that has dealt with other issues like this, and he is going to see about doing the paperwork to petition the court to open the adoption papers and release my original birth certificate. And when they release that original birth certificate, we should find out
her real name,
what my mother's real, if it was Dolores or not, but what her legal name was. Yeah,
That's right. And I know all of y'all are thinking, do Ancestry DNA.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty exciting.
Yes. The kit is on the way for Ancestry DNA. So
Yeah.
We actually, some of the ladies at the church got together and blessed Leah with a kit. All right, Leah's going to open her birthday card from the ladies at the church.
Well, you have a birthday too.
I do. It's before yours, actually.
We'll go eat Mexican. Everybody, we're going to eat Mexican.
Well, what will let the birthday girls
Oh,
pick?
thank you, ladies. That's so sweet.
No, your present's written on the card in there. There's another little card inside
My
there.
present.
Yeah, your present. It's coming soon. We're going to find her. We're going to find her.
So I'm adopted, and I am in the process of trying to find my birth mother. And the ladies have gifted me an Ancestry DNA kit.
We're just so glad to have y'all in our church and as our friends. And adoption's dear to all of our hearts because we have lots of families who have adopted and lots and people who are adopted here. So it's wonderful.
And we're all adopted.
That's
In Christ.
And it was supposed to get here today, but it didn't get here today. So hopefully it will be here tomorrow, and we'll be sending that off.
As soon as it comes in, Patty and I are going to connect and get that straight in the mailbox.
Yes, and honestly, I really feel like we'll probably get at least a first or second cousin hit on my heritage. It's like third or fourth cousins, and so and there is some Adams on there on one of her family trees. There is some Adams way back, so it's very possible that it could be.
And if we
Adams.
don't get any hits off of the Ancestry, there's another thing that you can do that takes all those companies, that the Heritage, the 123Me, Ancestry,
all of them,
and it links all of them together. The kit is very getting that access is a little more expensive. But I'm told that if this doesn't work, that the nonprofit will help with getting that next step for that broader search.
Yes, much broader. But I really feel like we're gonna. I just have a feeling we're gonna get something with the Ancestry.
So, like I said, I've known for always that I was adopted. It was never a secret.
And that's a blessing.
And that's a blessing.
Because, I know some people are torn about doing that, but that was best that your mom and dad did that, because there's never you never had any mistrust with your mom and dad that they kept this big secret.
Absolutely. So, as I was growing up, they would tell me little bits. I always knew I came from Bethesda. As a kid, the Miss Hubert and Dorothy Barnwell were the directors of the home, and I remember seeing them many times as a kid at a camp that we went to every summer. They left Bethesda and went to Georgia, and so the summer camp that my dad took our church to every summer was in Georgia, and they were affiliated with that camp. So I remember seeing girls from the home when I was a kid, and
so you're very familiar with what this home
yeah, I mean,
did.
I knew Lester I knew Lester Roloff. I had met him a couple times before. He was in a plane crash in 1982, but I remember going to hear him preach when I was like in the first grade, and he died a year after I met him. But so at any rate, Mom and Daddy said, when you turn 21, we'll tell you everything that we know. So when I was 21, they told me everything that they knew, which is basically what I've shared with you today. And then when I was, my first child was born when I was 25. So when I was 26, my husband called Miss Barnwell, and Miss Barnwell said she didn't have any information, and if she did, she wouldn't give it because it was closed adoption and for those girls' privacy. And she had asked the Lord to help her forget what baby went to what family, because that's what those girls wanted. So anyway, she said she didn't have any information. So at that point, we called the attorney that handled my adoption, and the lady was not very nice to him that worked in his office. She said they had moved in the past 25 years, and if it wasn't on microfiche, then she really wasn't going to dig and find records, and it was a closed adoption, so she wasn't very helpful. I later had an attorney that was a friend of my family, and she tried to do some research, and she really came up empty-handed. And so once again, about 10 years ago, I started looking, but came up empty-handed. But I never really searched like I'm searching now. I just tried small things, and I just felt like the Lord didn't want me to find her. Mm-hmm. He didn't make it easy, and so I didn't need to know. But I'm getting close to 50, and it's kind of like now or never, because she's not getting any younger, and neither am I. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And so, but the point of all that is Leah's been looking for 25 years, near about.
Yeah.
You know, she's been looking for a while, off and on, and so, but she's never had this many leads, never had this much help. Mm-mm. So it's very, very encouraging.
Yeah, it's almost, it's very overwhelming, because I have made some really good connections, and I've talked to some ladies, and their stories are just, I've cried many a tear in the past week, and my breath has been taken away many times with the stories that the ladies have told me. The lady that had her baby in May, I talked to her for 5 hours and 15 minutes on the phone. And at the end of the conversation at 2 o'clock in the morning, I said to her, I've always been concerned that if my mother wants to see me, and if she doesn't, that's okay, but I would like to know that she's okay and that she's alive. Like, even if we can't connect, if she's opposed to that, I'd like to see a picture of her. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not a recent picture, if it's just a picture from
back then,
mm-hmm. Just so I have something tangible to hold on to. But this, when I was hanging up with this lady, I said, the conversation came so easy, and it just flowed. She told me about her life, her daughter, how she reconnected, her baby's father. It was just such easy conversation, and it made me rest that when I find her, it's going to be okay. Like, the conversation is not, I hope she feels no anger. And I certainly feel no anger toward her. And just this lady's sweet reunion. Mm-hmm. It's really, I don't know why I haven't really pursued it.
Yeah.
10, 20 years ago.
Well, and like you said, it's God's timing.
Sure.
It's God's
sure.
timing, and and one concern Leah had, I think, about meeting her birth mother is, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
But it was so easy to talk to this lady, and everything, and it will be the same when she meets her birth mother.
Yeah, I hope so. But I mean, yeah, I really want her to know that I had a good life. I had great parents. I have a sister. I've had struggles, and life hasn't always been easy. But I realized that she did the best that she could do, and I appreciate the gift that she gave my parents. Because it really, and my mother would say that she gave more than she had to. What a gift to give somebody, a family.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you can, please share this video. That will help. If you can't do anything else, share this video and
Say a prayer that we'll find her and that she's alive.
yes.
That would be terrible to find her and
Well-
think if I would have done it 10 years ago, I could have seen her.
But you got to remember, God's sovereign.
He is sovereign.
God's sovereign.
And he's gracious. He's gracious and sovereign. So,
But anyway, this hopefully will not be the last video. Like
yeah,
Leah
hopefully we'll have good news.
Yes, like Leah said, we're going to go to the lawyer tomorrow. We're going to be doing the ancestry DNA test, and so hopefully there will be a second video with some more information and the ending video with Leah meeting her birth mother.
Yeah, and something that we're going to do that I have never done. My grandmother lives in Hattiesburg, and I've never visited the location of Bethesda. A fire destroyed one of the buildings, and but tomorrow Patty and I are going to drive out there and just see it. And I'm not really sure what that's going to do for me, how emotional that's going to be.
Yeah.
But I really hope that kind of brings something to me, just being there where my mother was during that time. So anyway, yeah, share.
Y'all have a blessed day.